the first question I have are about obviously the new semi-commercial products which InterBay has brought out today. What are the main USPs and differences of the enhanced semi-commercial proposition from InterBay, and what are the acceptable property types?
Yeah, well, look, Beth, I guess first and foremost, we've worked really hard with our key partners to get this product range to launch. We've listened to their feedback, and they're obviously pretty excited having InterBay back in this space. I guess to your key point, being able to utilise the sort of commercial income from properties, which we weren't previously doing, and also we've increased the sort of I guess the LTV's up at 70% loan to value, which is only 5% less than pre-COVID levels. Our usual regular users and key partners know we have an expert internal valuation team who've helped us to get this launch enhanced. And what we've done, we've been really clear about the asset class, actually, because I think that's important, the clarity around that. So unsurprisingly, we've looked at, very select retail. So I'm talking, if you like, suburban precincts, things like that, blocks of commercial real estate like that. Offices, they're in there as well. And obviously takeaways, restaurants and cafes, they've proved to be pretty resilient during the pandemic, and I guess in terms of the various lockdowns. And of course, things like pharmacies, obviously, again, an important asset that's out there at the moment. But I think one of the interesting bits that perhaps you don't see from our peer group that you can use with InterBay is that we have the ability to do owner occupied or trading businesses. So, quite often with some of the other commercial lenders, they'll only look at people looking to invest in semi-commercial, but actually with our expertise and the underwriting experience that we have in the InterBay brand, we're actually able to look at trading businesses and people that own their own business and trading out of them.
You mentioned earlier as well, obviously, that you're now utilising commercial income. How is the income calculated, just so our readers can understand it a bit better?
Yeah, that's really important, and I guess there's a couple of bits within there, Beth. The reason people come to InterBay, as opposed perhaps to the high street as an example, is that obviously we allow them to do it on an interest-only basis, so that increases the leverage. And if you look at the debt service cover ratio, if you like, it's 5% or the pay rate, whichever is lower. And if you're probably aware from the range which you've seen, there's a pay rate as low as 479 on there. So it's a really good opportunity, and I certainly think with the brokers that come to InterBay and the type of clients, they're looking at how they can leverage, how they can keep that payment down. So you couple the ability to leverage up alongside the ability to use interest only. It's a really important, I guess, USP of a commercial lender.
And why do you think are semi-commercial products like these so integral to the broker market right now?
Well, look, I think there's certainly a lack of choice out there. InterBay is a big player in the specialist commercial market, as I like to refer to it. And we can, quite a considered approach to get our criteria and policy right, to have it in black and white. So from the broker's point of view, they have clarity of what can fit with us. And also the ability that we've got a very experienced team of BDMs out there on the road who can help them with those cases that perhaps, need shaping and to put into things like our credit committee. But also, look, you just look at the type of assets that are there. These are reliable, strong assets that have gone through this part of the pandemic, are coming out the other end. And, there are good trading businesses out there that might be looking to expand. I mean, we use the example in there of restaurants and takeaways and cafes. People have adapted their business models and have been able to trade through this. So the ability to have good competitive products that enable them to keep that business going is really important, I think.
And how will you be approaching valuations for these types of assets?
Yeah, so that's an important part. We have the internal team who will, if you like, at dip stage, do a quick cast over it to make sure that, I think it's, again, really important. We don't want to be spending clients' money on an asset that we're not going to be able to lend on. So the ability to upfront assess the property, give it a tick in the box, a quick yes or a quick no, means that brokers have the reliability of decisions without going through the whole process in a time when we all know that the headlines are out there that certain lenders are 19 days to look at a full mortgage application. Thankfully, you know, that's not a position we find ourselves in. But the fact to be able to get a quick yes or no at the start of the process, rather than a sort of go through 20 odd days, the valuation comes back, you're then looking at a decision that you're not able to do. I think that's really important. That was one of the key, I guess, points of feedback from our key partners when we look to improve this range.
And what trends are you seeing in the semi-commercial property market right now that's pushed InterBay to come out with this new offering?
Well, we've certainly seen, I think we've seen, you know, from our point of view, the ability to see what assets on the high street are performing more strongly, I guess, or you know, in terms of returns that are working their way through the COVID period. And I think that's why we came out with the black and white, if you like, 4 blocks: selective retail, the office, obviously, you know, still pretty popular if you pick the right ones, the takeaways that we said there, and pharmacies. So there's been good demand for those. What we did in the first step was obviously look at the residential income in isolation without looking at the commercial assets. But obviously, as we've got more confidence, more clarity in what's happening in, I guess, the economic market and what's happening on the high street and with commercial assets, we've been able to build that in to make up what I consider a considered accurate approach of the income we like to take into consideration on these assets.
I'm sure you can agree that transparency around timescales and parameters around which lenders can confidently do business is key right now. What are your parameters, and how are you keeping brokers aware of these?
Yeah, well, we've tried to be really clear in our communications right the way through the I guess the COVID period, if we want to say that, Beth. And I think we've worked really hard in terms of this communication, giving them some black and white, some reassurance or some assurance in terms of the way in which we will deal with this launch. So, you know, having the commercial assets there in black and white, a clear guidance. We've got calculators on the website now. We've improved the InterBay website over recent weeks, just ahead of this, so that they're able to put the various incomes in there and get a defined answer in terms of the loan that they can borrow, but also having the availability of our BDM teams. You know, I think the role of the BDM has adapted and changed quite a bit over the last few months. So, you know, I would encourage our people that want to use this product to either pick up the phone or book in, like we're doing now, over a sort of virtual interview, because the guys are more than happy to go through what we can and can't do. But don't be afraid to pick up the phone, I would say, against them about the slightly more complex case in terms of the applicant's circumstance. So, you know, we're quite clear on the asset, but we're obviously, as a specialist lender, very flexible on the way in which we look at the applicant.
I'm sure brokers would be very pleased to hear that.
I hope so.
And then finally, the pure commercial market is obviously really important, and I feel has been neglected from the wider market in obviously recent months. What plans does InterBay have for that?
Well, look, the brand is InterBay Commercial. It's a commercial lender. It's an important part of the One Savings Bank family, alongside Precise Mortgages and Kent Reliance. And we've obviously had been able to lend on the semi-commercial without the commercial element, and now we're bringing that back. As I've sort of probably alluded to in this, we've worked really hard with our key partners to design this proposition. And this is the first in I guess, a careful and considered approach to expanding our product range would be the best way to put it, Beth, if that's okay.
That's fine. Very interesting. Thank you very much for your time.
Cool. Thank you.